Hey, confirmands and confirmation parents. I just want to welcome you to this week's lesson. I have my worksheet, the worksheet that you have in front of you on your computer or however you have it. I have it right here in front of me. So again, I'll be looking back and forth from the camera to the worksheet as I guide you through this lesson. I want to be very candid and honest with you. I'm struggling with this. As a confirmation class and as confirmands, my deep passion is that your faith grows. And I have some real concerns if you are growing right now. I have some real concerns if you're actually going through these lessons. And I've been praying for you every single day that God is reaching out to you, that you're able to go through this lesson, whether it's with your brother or sister or with your parents. And parents, I hope that you're going through this lesson with your kids. And I need you to understand that, I feel the difficulty that you're experiencing right now. And I know how hard it is to lead someone in the faith when you may not have the knowledge or the skill set, or maybe you're struggling in your own faith to lead someone else in their faith. And what I want to encourage you, parents, is that if you need help, if you need guidance, if you need instruction, if you need wisdom, insight, if you just need help in this lesson or in any of the lessons that we're going to be doing, please reach out to me. All right, text me, call me, reach out to me so that I can best help you during this time. Because this is a real challenge. Many of you have been thrusted into a position that you may not have been ready for. And I fully understand that, and I want to provide you as best as I can all of my experience and knowledge and insights on how to best lead your confirmand in their faith journey, because this is incredibly important. I mean, they're going to have to make an important decision on what college are they going to go to, and what job are they going to do, what person are they going to marry, how are they going to raise their kids. Those are important decisions that they have to make. But the most important decision that they will ever make is choosing to follow Jesus. Because you see, we can always recover from those other decisions. We can recover if we didn't go to the right school, or choose the right job, or choose the right life partner, or if we made a mistake as a parent. We can recover from those things. But with choosing to follow Jesus or not choosing to follow Jesus holds eternal consequences. I mean, this is not consequences about tomorrow and, about money and about housing. And I mean, this is lasting eternal consequences. And this is why I'm so deeply passionate about it, because I want to spend eternity with you and with the confirmation class just worshiping God and praising God. And right now is that time that these kids are making that choice. Am I going to follow Jesus for the rest of my life? Because the truth is, the world is completely against them when it comes to choosing this choice. Choosing Jesus is something totally counter to what culture teaches you. What you need to do as a person, based on culture, is you need to make sure you have a lot of money. Well, because guess what? We've got coronavirus. You're going to lose your job. You need to make sure you can have money to pay your bills. So you need money. But in order to have money, you have to have the right job. Well, in order to have the right job, you have to have the right education. But the truth is, God's in control of all that. But He made us specifically to have a relationship. So He didn't create us to be robots to just obediently follow Him. We have to make that choice. And that's what today's lesson's about. That's why I'm kind of passionate right now about sharing this with you and encouraging you as parents. Please, I am begging you, work through this with them. And if you're struggling, reach out to me, please. Alright, so I can help you best help them. Because this is the single greatest decision they will ever make. Because this is the one relationship that will never break their heart. As your kids are growing up, and as they're entering into the dating world, and as they're entering into high school, and entering into social bullying, and all these different things that are going to hurt them, this is the one thing that will never hurt them. This is the one person who will never fail them. Jesus is that person. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, as I am sure many of you can testify, that Jesus is the greatest relationship that any person can have. That his love is unconditional, doesn't require us to be popular and rich and famous and good with politics and make sure we shake the right hands and get the right job and go to the right school. Jesus is that one person who says, hey, you're broken, come here. I want to fix you. I want to help you find the right life. And so parents, as you watch this video, I want to encourage you, please, please, if you need prayers, if you need help, do not hesitate to ask. Because the truth is, I keep texting you guys, I keep texting the group, asking for prayer concerns and asking how I can help, and I might get 1, maybe 2 texts in return. And I know that it's not because you are living the perfect life. I know you're busy and you have a lot on your plate and you're afraid. Let me burden that fear with you. Let me walk with you in this time and let me help you. And for you confirmands, guys, the same thing. Man, I reach out to many of you and I ask, hey, how can I pray for you? I mean, yesterday we had a brand new program called Ministry Monday, and I had 2 students who joined us on our Instagram Live. I'll post it on our Instagram story. How can I be praying for you? And I might get like 1 or 2 answers. Confirmands, if you need help, reach out to me. Reach out to your mentors. This is why we are here. We're here to walk with you, to answer your questions, to pray with you, to guide you towards the greatest choice you will ever make. I don't care what the world tells you. I don't care what you may think. The truth is, Jesus is the single greatest relationship you'll ever have. And I desire for you to make that choice. That come Pentecost, come Confirmation Sunday in May, that you choose, genuinely choose to follow him with your heart and with your actions and with your words. That it's not something you're doing just because that's what you do, it's what you're supposed to do, you're in 6th grade, or maybe you're in junior high, or it's just what you're doing. Mom and Dad told me to do it. No, I want you to make that choice on your own. And that's what today's lesson's all about. Making that choice. To choose Jesus or to choose the world. And so now that you have the worksheets either opened up on your computer screen, or maybe you printed it off and it's right in front of you and you're hanging out with your parents or grandparents or your siblings, whoever it may be, let's go ahead and walk through today's lesson so that you know how to do these different activities. And as we always do, whenever we're meeting together in person or digitally now, let's open up with a word of prayer. All right? And confirmands, I encourage you, I want you to start opening up with prayer. Practice your prayer life. Let this be something that is important to who you are, because that's how you talk to God. Prayer is a conversation with God. So open up today's class with a prayer, and if you're struggling to think of what to pray about, I have written a prayer for you. So on your worksheet, you can go ahead and read that out, and that could be your prayer. But I encourage you, say your own prayer. Think about what's going on in your world and in your life. Ask those around you who need prayers. And then pray over those things. And as I say every week, go ahead, pause this video, all right? Pause the video, go through your prayers, and then come back and let's go to activity number 1. Hey guys. Welcome back to our lesson for today. Let's jump right into our activity number 1. This is kind of a participative activity. This is something that you can actually do, be physically involved in. It's not just you sitting down, watching a video, maybe eating some chips or your favorite snack, but you can actually now get moving and get the blood flowing and be active. As I'm sure many of you guys are just sitting in your rooms watching Netflix or playing video games. So let's get active for a second. The first activity we're going to do is Would You Rather? Now, you may already know what I'm going to say, either because you have the worksheet in front of you and you've already read ahead, or you've played this game before. Now, I will encourage all of you, parents, confirmands, families, I encourage you, get a lot of people involved, because the more people you have involved in this specific activity, the more enjoyable it can be, the more fun it can be. But we have a series of 8 questions that you're going to answer, and this is for everybody. The first 4 questions, you're going to do it with your eyes open and just kind of engaging with people around you. And the very first question is, would you rather eat bananas and peanut butter, or would you rather eat celery and peanut butter? And the way that you answer this question is, if you want to eat bananas and peanut butter, you would stand up. So just like this. If you want to eat celery and peanut butter, you stay seated. Stay just sitting down. So the first one is, would you rather A, eat bananas and peanut butter, or B, celery and peanut butter? Question number 2, would you rather be tiny as a stamp, or would you be as big as a skyscraper? So tiny as a stamp, you would stand up for that. Or if you want to be as big as a skyscraper, you stay seated. Question number 3. Would you rather be in a big group of people, or would you like to be by yourself? Stand up if you want to be in a big group of people. Stay seated if you want to be by yourself. Now, question number 4. Would you rather sit on the bench, let's say at a game or a sports event or a concert, or would you rather sit in the stands? Would you rather be the audience instead of the athlete or the participant? So if you would rather sit on the bench, stand up, or if you rather be the audience, sitting in the stands, stay seated. Now with the next 4 questions, I want you to go ahead and answer these questions with your eyes closed, alright? So that you have no external influences influencing your decision. Question number 5, with your eyes closed, keep your eyes closed, don't peek. Question number 5, would you rather be super smart, so that's A, be super smart, or B, be super rich? If you want to be super smart, keep your eyes closed and stand up. If you want to be super rich, keep your eyes closed and stay seated. Question number 6. Would you rather sit in the first pew at church, or would you rather sit in the very last pew at church? So A is the first pew. If you would rather sit in the first pew at church, stand up. Or B, if you would rather sit in the very last pew at church, stay seated. Question number 7. Would you rather be A, hungry, or B, thirsty? If you would rather be hungry, stand up with your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed this entire time. Or, while keeping your eyes closed, would you rather be thirsty? Stay seated. And then lastly, question number 8. Would you rather live in total darkness, or stare into blinding light? So A, would you rather live in total darkness, or B, stare into blinding light? Keep your eyes closed and you either stand for A or stay seated for B. Now that we've answered these questions, I want you to spend a few minutes in your group, whether it's you and your sibling or your parents or whoever it is that's in your group, and I have a few questions that I've written out for you. I want you to spend no more than 10 minutes discussing these questions. I mean, it shouldn't take you 10 minutes to discuss it, but I want you to spend 10 minutes discussing these questions. Do you think that you respond to the questions in a different way with your eyes closed than you did when they were open? Did being able to see how others were answering the questions affect your own decision making when you were trying to choose which one? And if it did, how so? Lastly, when making a decision in real life, how much do you personally think Do the opinions of other people influence your decisions? How much do other people influence the decisions you make in your life? So go ahead, spend a few minutes talking about that amongst your group, whoever it may be. Go ahead, pause the video, and come back for activity number 2. All right, welcome back to activity number 2. This next activity is a video that you're going to watch on YouTube, just like I think last week we had a video on YouTube. Or maybe it was the week before, I can't remember. But on the worksheet, you'll see the YouTube link. Also, if you keep this up in the Google Docs form on your computer or however you're opening it up digitally, you can actually go ahead and click on that link and it will pull up a YouTube video and you can watch the video lesson for today. After you watch that video, I want you to come back and I want you to discuss the questions that I've written for you. So go ahead, pause this video, watch the other video, and then come back and we'll talk about the questions. Hey guys, welcome back. I hope that you learned something from that video. I hope that something you can take away and apply it to your own life. And now that you've watched that video as a group or whoever it is that you're with, I want you to discuss these questions. Regarding that video, what stood out to you? What really kind of popped when you watched that video? If anything, what was confusing to you about that video? And then, what is one thing you're going to take away from that video? One thing that you could share with someone that you don't know, or maybe you could share with a friend. What is that one thing? Again, go ahead and spend a few minutes discussing these questions, pause the video, and come back for our very last activity. This is the biggest activity of the lesson. Hey guys, welcome back to activity number 3. So I started this video with kind of my own soapbox. But here's the thing. As Christians and as people, we always have influences in our lives, whether it's social media, or it's TV, or music, video games. But the biggest influence in our lives are the people around us. For you, it might be your parents. Maybe it is me as your youth pastor. Maybe it's a coach, or a teacher, or some director. But regardless of who it may be, we are all influenced by the people around us, and we grow from learning from their experiences. Well, as Christians, we're no different. We look to people for advice and on how to best live the Christian life. Well, Jesus was very intentional when he was handpicking his disciples to be leaders and role models for all believers. And you may know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 12 disciples, who in this activity we'll call the Big 12. And the 12 disciples, as you can see on the worksheet, are Peter, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Andrew, Bartholomew, also known as Nathaniel, James, also known as the lesser or the younger, Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed Jesus, Jude, also known as Thaddeus, Matthew, also known as Levi, Philip, Simon the Zealot, and Thomas, the person we know as Doubting Thomas, although that's not a very accurate and appropriate name to give him, but that's how we know him. You'll see on the worksheet that there is a link. If you click on that link, it will send you to a website that will give you a bunch of background information about every single one of these individuals. As I said, Jesus was very intentional in picking these 12 disciples because each of them, Jesus knew that someone later on down the road would be influenced by them or connect to that person. And so in this activity, I have kind of condensed everything from that website down into a brief description of each of those 12 disciples. And I know there's going to be quite a bit. There's 12 disciples to read, and there's 12 descriptions to read. But what I want you to do in your group is I want you to read each of these descriptions. Right? And be very intentional when you read this. Pay close attention to how they are described, their personality traits, who they are, what they do. And I want you to spend time in a group reading through every single one of these descriptions. And then once you're done, I want you to talk about which one of those disciples do you best connect to. Now, I say which one of them. It may not be just one. It may be two. It may be all 12. There may be small bits and pieces of each one that you connect to. But I want you to spend some serious time. This one should take about 20-30 minutes to really go through this in detail. And in your group, I want you to kind of decide which apostle do you best relate to, or which of the apostles, how many of them and which ones do you best relate to. And I want you to kind of see the similarities and the differences of their personalities to yours. So go ahead, pause this video, go through this activity in your group and be very intentional about it, and spend time reading each and every one out loud. Talk about it. If there's anything about it that's confusing, talk about it and figure out what is confusing you so that you better understand what each of these people best stood for. So go ahead, pause the video. Alright guys, welcome back. I just have a few thoughts to end today's class on. You know, for me as a Christ follower in my faith walk, from the time I was very little to now through confirmation, what you're going through, and even as an adult going on after that, there were a lot of different things that influenced my decision to follow Jesus. At the time, the most important influence was my family. My mom was very intentional in making sure that me and my brother grew up in a Christian home. And my dad as well really wanted to make sure that we had a relationship with Jesus. And as I met different people over my lifetime, and as I've asked questions, and as I've observed the mistakes that others have made, I have grown in my own faith walk. And then more importantly, as I have spent time really investing in God's Word, as I have really combed through the pages of what God has taught us through His Son Jesus, I have learned a lot of valuable lessons on what it means to be a disciple. And I think the biggest lesson that I have learned, the thing that I've taken away the most, is how to overcome adversity, difficult times in my life, while remaining faithful to Jesus. Because the truth is, every single one of those disciples went through a very difficult time. Just because they were Jesus's 12 hand-picked disciples did not mean that their lives were easier. It did not mean they were better Christians or better disciples than anyone else. But what they did is give us an example of how to live our lives, how to deal with the difficulty of the world around us and the complexities of trying to share your faith and trying to grow in your faith in your relationship with Jesus. Now I want to encourage you, during this time of social distancing and social isolation, these 12 men, these are the ones who are going to influence your faith walk. These are the individuals who are going to help you overcome this very difficult situation, this very scary situation. Because they dealt with life and death situations all the time. Because for them, being a Christian wasn't a part of their culture. If you were a Christian in their time, that meant you could be put to death. So they know what we're going through. They know that fear. Many times they would have to meet in the basement of a home or some business, hiding in secret with only a couple of people, and they would sing worship songs like Reckless Love and Good Father. I mean, they wouldn't sing those songs, but they would sing worship songs to God. They would talk to each other and share with each other. They would pray with one another. And so by reading these descriptions, by reading God's Word, by being intentional in this lesson, in this activity, you're going to better grow in your faith. You're going to better grow in your knowledge of who God is to you and who you are to God. As I started this video, the greatest choice you will ever make, literally the greatest choice you'll ever make, is choosing Jesus. Let me tell you, I've made decisions on college, on which cars to buy, homes to rent, places to live, jobs to work, and even who was I going to marry. And while I made a lot of great decisions, I've also made a lot of bad decisions, but the one decision that has been always perfect was choosing to follow Jesus. And as we end today's class, I encourage you to share with one another. What are you struggling with right now? How can you be praying for one another? Confirmands, ask your parents, ask your siblings. Be bold in your faith. This is the time to be the church. Don't be a church Christian. And what I mean is, don't be that Christian who's only good at being a Christian when you're in youth group or at church on Sunday morning. Be a world Christian. Be a Christian who lives out their faith every single day. And the best way you can live out your faith right now, praying for those around you, loving those who are around you. Ask them, and then pray for them. And as always, there is a written prayer on your worksheet. If you're struggling to come up with your own, I have given one for you. You can say that as your own prayer and pray that over you and your family. Guys, I love you very much. I miss you. We're still live streaming worship right now, as the order from the judge is still in effect for us to shelter in place. I had a meeting with Senior Pastor Steve Woody yesterday, and with the president extending his social distancing policies, there's a good chance that we're going to continue with sheltering in place. So there's a good chance that next week we're still not going to meet in person. I mean, as you know, you're not meeting in person for school until May 4th, at least until May 4th. So we're still doing everything digitally. Please join us on our YouTube channel tomorrow night at 6 o'clock for worship, for games, and for a message. Morgan is currently writing his message, so I ask that you pray for him. And he's going to be over here at my house tomorrow, and he's going to be the one here behind the camera giving you the message. I mean, I'll be here for the games and the worship time, but then he'll step behind the camera for the message. Again, guys, I love you very much, and I will see you tomorrow for youth group and next week for our next class. Bye.